How you doing? It's the Butcher here, and today I kind of said I was going to dabble in some Destiny 2 content, and it is something that I've been playing a bunch. So I wanted to make a video on the new player experience for Destiny 2 coming from a new player. Um, Sort of new player. So to give you just a quick overview of my background with Destiny. So Destiny 1, when it first came out, I actually played a bunch. It was super cool. I was really excited for a new game from Bungie. I was a huge fan of the old Halo games, some of my favorite games of all time. So I was really excited. Played through, the campaign, played it for a bit. Didn't really play it in the expansions. It kind of fell out with it, but thought it was a pretty fun game. So then Destiny 2 comes out. I tried a little bit about at the beginning, and then I've kind of dabbled back in a little bit later on. I believe when the Forsaken expansion came out, and played that a bit, and thought it was pretty fun. But again, kind of just went in and out of it. And now I've kind of come back again for a couple reasons. Just kind of looking for a new game to play. I've always enjoyed Destiny. And there was also, if you saw one of my previous videos, I was able to get all the DLC up to date for only $20. So I thought that was a really good deal, and I want to take advantage of that and kind of play through it and see what Destiny's been cooking up lately. Because to be honest, with D4 in the state it's in, it's probably the main game I play. If I'm playing the Gauntlet, I'll still keep playing it, but I'm not grinding that all day every day. PoE, I like. Kind of waiting on PoE 2 a little bit, and the beta for that. Last Week Epoch just doesn't really interest me, unfortunately. I'm sorry. I understand if you like it. It does look like a good game. It's just something about the art style and the combat that just isn't as pleasing to me. So like I said, I've been jumping back into Destiny 2 and checking it out, and it's been fun. So just to go over some things, and I guess I want to go over just what it was like for me to jump back in. With the limited knowledge I had on the game from playing it a little bit in the past. But first thing to note is I was very confused when I jumped in and kind of doing the initial part of the campaign, and I'm kind of doing like air quotes, because they have actually, I had to go and like look it up, they have vaulted a lot of content. So the like original part of the story, along with it's actually one of the paid DLCs. It is it's the one where Cade, well, you're gonna find out anyway because they like tell you right away, where Cade 6 dies, and it's Forsaken, isn't it? Yeah. So this is all from Forsaken back, is all vaulted. You can't play these original campaigns at all, and this is kind of what I remember playing. And that's really unfortunate because they try to explain it through cutscenes and they try to keep them short. I get that. But it becomes really discombobulated playing the game. And you got to go and like watch YouTube videos. So that's the first thing that stuck out to me. And I get why they would vault some content. I don't agree with vaulting this paid content right here, Forsaken. That, in my opinion, is pretty crappy of them to do. But I get vaulting content because the game is so big now. It's been out for like 7 years, give or take. So there's a ton of stuff in there. So I get them not wanting to have it so bloated. But if there was like if you even went to this timeline, some legacy thing where you could just go back and play this campaign, like the original campaign, I don't really understand why that's the case, that you can't do that at all. I get it, not just dumping players in and making them play through all the campaigns, but give people that want to be invested in the story the opportunity. So that's the first thing that stuck out to me, because you kind of jump in and you go down to the Cosmodrome here, and you're doing all these quests, and they're teaching you about the game, what's what, different type of weapons and stuff. But it really makes the story afterwards very discombobulated if you don't go and look up YouTube videos and lore, and even then it's not the same as playing through it yourself. So anyway, the next thing I want to talk about is when you jump in, them teaching you what's going on in the game, because there are a lot of mechanics and items and things like that, and guns and armor and all this type of stuff here. So they actually do a decent job in a lot of cases, but there are some pretty glaring holes. So they kind of explain to you, like you can see the exotics I have right here, what exotics do, why they're so powerful, everything like that. They explain to you about like modding your gear and stuff, so putting on different, I don't know if I actually don't have anything on here, but putting on different mods and stuff. But what it really doesn't tell you, and what's been confusing to me, especially, is what gear is actually good. Okay, so that's again something you're gonna have to kind of go through and find out what gear is actually good, what gear stinks, what gear you want, figuring out a build. But that's pretty common with a lot of these games, MMOs, ARPGs, looter shooters, games just like that. Which this game is not ARPG, but it's definitely an MMO and looter shooter. So that's pretty understandable, but I think they do a decent job of explaining some of the gear, upgrading some of the gear as you go through your little journey here. Some of the things will actually, require you to update it, and that's, it's fine. It's not super in depth, but I wouldn't expect it to be. So that aspect is fine. So next thing I want to talk about is the actual campaigns themselves. So, if you don't purchase the campaigns, you can only play like the first mission or two in them, and then kind of give you like an overview, but you'll be able to unlock whatever powers or whatnot from that campaign through that timeline. But I actually played through, so I've played through, if I go back to where's the timeline? It's over here. So obviously I couldn't play any of the stuff before Forsaken, but that's kind of where I dabbled up to, so it's kind of funny to end it like that. But I played through Shadowkeep campaign, I played through Beyond Light, and I played through the Witch Queen, and I'm about halfway through Lightfall. The campaigns are mediocre to me. By far my favorite has been the Witch Queen. Right now, Lightfall is probably my least favorite, then followed by Beyond Light. I thought Shadowkeep was okay, but the Witch Queen was very good. Again, the problem with this is it'll be very discombobulated for you coming in as a new player. It's kind of all over the place. They're mentioning people, things, and they're not explaining them. And maybe if they had like tool tips for these or something, and again, you can't go back. So obviously in between here, you have different seasons where stuff happens as well. So there's just a ton, but not being able to go back and kind of do this original stuff definitely makes a huge impact. And then them not really explaining a lot of this stuff during the campaigns, which I get that they wouldn't want to, but maybe as they go back and as they're vaulting this old content, add to some of the new content that is available that, certain, like I said, like tool tips almost, like pop-ups, like this person is from this, this happened here. Something like that where you're able to enable it if you want to kind of immerse yourself into the story. So the campaigns, in my opinion, mediocre. Both narratively, they're not great. I kind of, like I said, the Witch Queen was the one that really drew me in. The others did not. Kind of a little disappointed in Bungie's storytelling. Maybe I'm holding such a high standard because I remember, the original Halo trilogy just is, like I said, is one of my favorite stories of all time in a video game, and they butchered the TV show. I don't even watch that, but a little disappointed in Bungie's storytelling. As far as the gameplay goes, it's pretty good within the campaigns. There are some like fetch quest type things where it's like go complete 3 of these, which I don't really like, which kind of takes you out of the campaign. I know as they come out, they're kind of like bloating it for content, I guess, but especially going back and replaying them, I wish you could just kind of skip those. It's like go complete 3 patrols or defeat 100 enemies or find enough of this material or whatnot. Just like little fetch quests that kind of threw me off within pretty much all of them, honestly. There was at least 1 or 2 within all of them that I've played so far. And especially with Lightfall, the story just isn't compelling to me at all. So next thing I want to get into is some of the different game modes. So as you can see, like up here, Vanguard, these are like your PvE missions that you can do with friends or random people. Gambit, I actually haven't played a ton. I believe it's a type of PvP. I actually forget. Yeah, 4v4 competitive co-op. Interesting. And then the Crucible is your PvE or PvP, like straight up. And Then Legends these are like the raids and stuff. I haven't really done too many raids or dungeons. I actually don't have the keys to the Witch Queen dungeons or the Lightfall dungeons. That's something, if you do end up purchasing, I think there's the Legacy Edition, which has all the content if you missed out on that sale. It also does not come with the keys, and it'll cost you about an extra $40 to be able to grab the keys, which is kind of unfortunate. And I guess that is something I should mention. So the barrier for entry, if you're not getting it on a deal like I did or on sale like that Legacy collection that goes down to like $30, it's way too expensive in my opinion, and not worth it. You can play a decent amount of stuff for free, but you'll miss out on the campaigns. You'll miss out on certain like strikes and raids and things like that if you don't have and even weapons and I'm assuming like armor and skins and whatnot, or shaders and things like that, if you don't have it all unlocked. But it's too expensive to buy straight up, in my opinion, for where it is now. I really think that they should have this older content much cheaper. And, you know, obviously their new one, if they want to put it up at like $50 or whatever it is for Lightfall normally, sure. And the upcoming one, I forget what it's called. But the older content, I think, should be much cheaper and really encourage people to want to jump in. And then they'd be more likely to buy that newer content, in my opinion. So I was saying about the game modes. Vanguard's fun, in my opinion. Crucible it's for, like, I don't see this game as like a PvP game. I see it as like an MMO. So I actually think it's a pretty solid PvP mode. So I haven't really ran into them though, but I've heard it get pretty riddled with cheaters. I'm assuming that's at like higher ranks. I haven't played like that many games of Crucible. I do kind of fry people because I'm pretty low level. But again, I don't know like what meta guns to use or equipment or classes or whatnot. But I do think for a game like this, the Crucible is a pretty good and fleshed out PvP mode. I like playing PvP. I've had the complaint about, you know, like Diablo 4, for example, where the PvP mode is almost non-existent, and it's really a missed opportunity where they could do something similar to like WoW and have its own area and have people really dedicated to that. And that's like what they want to play, whereas almost no one I know is really dedicated to PvP in a game like that. Whereas here, you could definitely be a Crucible player. That's when you want to jump in. You want to, you know, play. There's ranked play and everything like that. So it's pretty cool, in my opinion. And I think there's a nice variety of things to do. I could definitely see them getting tiring, specifically if you're doing like Vanguard missions or what's it called, Nightfall. These are like the harder Vanguard missions, basically. And I think this is, it's even harder. That it probably gets pretty repetitive if you're just doing it over and over again. But in my opinion, it's pretty good. And I think there's a decent variety of things to do in the game. Next thing I want to talk about is the monetization of the game, because something that is free to play, but with expansions, you know, this is going to be a big topic. There's a ton of monetization. So there's like a million different bundles and things like that. However, you do earn Bright Dust by playing the game, and you can use that. I did buy the season pass here, and you know, I was able to get a bunch of extra stuff. I kind of just went for it. You don't need this, but I wanted to be able to kind of get myself up to speed faster, you know, get some things I need, get some boosts and things like that, but it's definitely not needed. But it is something I bought just to mention. But as far as the other monetization goes in the game, there's a absolute ton of it. For everything from skins to, I believe, even like, can the consumables be purchased? I'm not sure if they can be purchased by silver, but you can see, I mean, there's an absolute ton of stuff. There's like pages and pages of stuff, you know, like all this is all for money. But there is this, you do earn this Bright Dust, like I was saying, and you can actually use this to buy cosmetics and things that you want. So you're able to get like these effects when you come in, shaders, these consumables, which I'll be honest, I'm not entirely sure what they actually do. Emotes, skins for your ghosts, skins for your ship, ghost projections, and what I'm actually saving my dust for, even skins, I guess, in some case, because I'm just going to save my dust. I'm going to buy this skin, which I think looks cool. I'm going to call it a day. But yes, there is a ton of monetization. Obviously, you don't have to interact. I think the majority of it is cosmetic. However, if you don't grab like the season passes and if you don't have some of the expansions, you'll miss out on like certain exotics and things like that, which is a shame. Like you got exotic engrams down here, which you basically just unlock a random exotic weapon and things like that. So you will miss out on that. You have gear here as well too. So is it pay to win? Probably slightly. Can you get away with not? Also probably yes. But I do like that at least they have this Bright Dust system. There's a lot of games that don't have any way to earn any sort of kind of in-shop cosmetics. And you could say, well, these things could just be available for free. But I do like the Bright Dust system. And then at least giving you a chance to buy some stuff that you could want. Like let's say you want this emote, this legendary one or whatever it is. Exotic one, and it's pretty cool. Like you got his little juggle and then he boots the ball. So I'm decently happy with that. I don't like their vaulting practices, but I think I'm decently happy with the way they have shop set up, where it at least gives you a chance to buy some stuff that you want. I think that's nice in my opinion. So next thing I want to go into is the actual gameplay itself and the actual game. So first of all, graphics are very good still in my opinion. For a game that's pretty old, it holds up incredibly well today. There's a lot of environments that are just absolutely gorgeous. Like let's head over, as I'm talking, let's just head over to, you could do Nessus. I kind of like this one. It's very colorful. Just go here, sure. But yeah, the environments, the world looks beautiful. Sometimes when you're getting up close to some people's faces and stuff like that, you can see it's a little bit dated. But when you're just going through and playing the game, it's going to look beautiful. Even stuff like this looks great to me. It holds up very well. But now for the gameplay, kind of the thing, at least for me, that's most important. The gameplay is solid, I think. I haven't dove into all like the class varieties and subclasses. I've only played so far as a hunter, and I've mainly played it with the solar subclass. That's been my favorite so far. I'm actually about to unlock Strand, and that looks pretty fun as well too. But the gameplay is very fun. The gunplay feels good. It feels smooth. The movement feels pretty good. I have the hunter with the triple jump right now. You got a slide. You got your little thing here, and this is actually something I got for free. Is this cool hoverboard. So you can get some decent stuff for free, and you can even do like tricks on it and stuff. So it's pretty cool. But the actual gameplay, like I said, it feels pretty good and slick. During the missions, there's a lot of stuff that you can do. Like there's different stuff that you do, like parkour type sections, stuff like that, boss fights. I will say some of the boss fights, they kind of just feel like bullet sponges if you're not using like a rocket launcher right here. So they can be a bit disappointing. They definitely have gotten a little bit repetitive, I say. I know a lot of them have different mechanics, but they all kind of boil down to like the same thing a lot of times in my opinion, where basically they'll have like 3 phases or 3 segments to their health bar. So you'll jump in or you'll like get him down to the end of the first segment, then he'll like go immune and you'll have to like kill a bunch of guys or destroy certain things or whatnot, and then you'll be able to attack him again. You'll repeat the process. It seems to happen a lot. I don't really know what I'm doing. I'm kind of just running around. So that can get a little bit tedious, but for the most part, the gameplay is very solid, I think. It still holds up very well as far as like a shooter game compared to other shooter games. Like, I guess the closest thing I could compare this to at the moment would be like Halo Infinite in terms of gunplay, not in terms of the game, because they're quite different. But it feels not quite as good, but it feels pretty damn close, especially for like an MMO, which typically, aren't structured fully around their gameplay. It's very good. So I will give it that. It's very fun to jump in and just play and mess around, jump on your little hoverboard, fly around, and you can, do stuff like this, whatnot. And then you can obviously, if it'll let me off, which I don't know what I'm doing because I suck, and you can go around and obviously shoot some enemies too, which is also fun. And the finishing abilities and things like that to spice up the gameplay. So all in all, gameplay is pretty good. So I think that wraps up most of what I wanted to talk about. I know I'm closing on 20 minutes here, so I don't want to go too much longer. So as a new player, what's my kind of final conclusion, I guess, on the gameplay experience as I'm getting rocked and died? I think it's okay. I would probably give it like a six and a half out of 10. Let's go with that. Like I said, I think the gameplay's good. I think it still looks beautiful. I think there's a lot of stuff to do. I think it definitely can be overwhelming and confusing. Like, I have no idea what to do with my gear and stuff like that. And I'll have to, probably after I finish the newest campaign, probably start, like, actually caring about my gear and, like, figuring out what's the best stuff to have on, what I want to upgrade, things like that. Whereas right now, I'm just taking whatever's the highest item power and basically just slapping it on, which I don't think is the best strategy. But the biggest thing for me, and what will turn a lot of people off as they jump in, if they're expecting like any type of story, and they're not just in it for the loot, that's going to turn them off right away. It's so discombobulated in my opinion, and it's done pretty poorly. And then I guess the second biggest thing would be, like I said, there's a ton of different materials. There's engrams or whatever you call them. There's just a ton of stuff, that is very confusing, and all these mods you can put on and different exotic gear and what it does and what goes with what. It can get very overwhelming. So that's what really holds it back for me. I think the actual gameplay itself is pretty good and pretty fun for new players. I think if you've ever played a shooter game, it'll feel very familiar. I think you're constantly picking up better loot, different types of weapons. That all feels good. And then the actual different things you can do. So if you want to go jump into the Vanguard playlist, you want to do some story missions, you want to do PvP, there's all that stuff there for you to be able to do, which I think is pretty cool. So like I said, overall, I'd probably give it a 6.5. I think it's really held back by, not giving you more of a tutorial. But there is, I guess, final thing I should mention here. Let me just like teleport out of here or whatever. There is this from the Bungie website, actually. And it's pretty cool. They have a bunch of actual companion apps right here that will do things like new player items and activity guides for getting started, stuff to help manage your inventory, stuff to tell you what the optimal armor is. So they do have resources that they do mention this in the game too as a tooltip at the bottom. But it does help, and you can check out some of these things like a checklist of what you want to do every week. So this is very helpful, and in my opinion, it's a great thing that they added these. I don't think they added them besides the companion app. I think the rest of these are community made actually, which is cool. But they have incorporated them. They have advertised them. They put them on their main website. So that about wraps it up. Sorry for going on a little bit long, but I hope you guys did enjoy. And I know it is a little bit different content, but if it is something you're interested in, please give it a like. It would mean a lot. I'd like to see, what people think. And if not, I will still be coming out with, my normal content that I've been doing, since I started this channel. So it's been a Butcher. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.